It's about 11:45, day 2. I reckon last night I had the worst night I've ever had sleep-wise on the trail. I went to bed and the physio had warned me that because of how my back injury that I currently have, pretty much like sitting up straight right now, no problem. But when I put pressure leaning over or bending forward, and especially to the left it seems to be, it's putting pressure on a particular sort of inflamed or aggravated point on my disc, or one of my discs. Guess how you sort of wind up laying in a Hennessy hammock. I know we all talk about laying flat in them, but there is a bit of a back curve, and it's in my lower back, so it was getting in just that right spot to be not painful but definitely discomfort. So couldn't get to sleep, which was in a way probably a good thing, because if I'd been out to just out to it, I had brush-tailed possums trying to get into my pack pretty much most of the night. So when they finally gave up and I finally stopped shooing them away, I was able to get some sleep, but even that was a bit sort of sporadic. So I slept in because, well, I lost so much sleep just trying to fend off the possums, and they seemed to give up. I don't know, it would have been about 3-4 AM at a guess. So that's really only when I really got some sleep. What popped down when I woke up, got up about 10:30, popped down to the beach, got some more awesome shots. So I thought I'm gonna head down. Well, while the light was still pretty good, I went down, took the photos first, and then came up and thought it was too late to have breakfast, so I had coffee and what was going to be my morning tea. So that was quite a decent feed. Dried apricots, some sultanas, which were meant to be part of breakfast, and some cheese. So I thought I'd take this chance now to run through some of this photo gear, because this trip was more, well, just as much about photography as it was about bushwalking. For something different. Well, I take photos a lot, but don't normally carry this amount of gear out of the bush with me, so cue the other camera. Here's an example too. When I was out taking photos, I left a few things on the bench, nothing much, and possum tried to chew into my alcohol bottle. Luckily I have a spare little handy one, so I have a second lid, and I also have the bigger Trangia one, because I sort of couldn't be bothered figuring out how much food I'd need. But anyway, here's the camera gear, straight as I pulled it off the tripod. As you can see, the camera looks a bit crazy compared to your average camera. I've discovered, and this is why some of my videos haven't made it up on YouTube, because well, I'm definitely not a perfectionist of video, but I don't like massive big problems. This here on top is the Rode, they call it a dead kitten. I'm hoping that blocks a lot of the wind noise. Well, it should, look at the size of it. So I've mounted that on top of the Olympus OM-D E-M5 silver, and attached to that is the Olympus SEMA 1 stereo mic. So that's comes off in two, so you can put any mic in. Stereo mic, got good pickup on the back, I've noticed from a little bit of playing around, and just 3.5mm jack. Uses the accessory port on the back of the Olympus, Panasonic, and some of the Leicas have it too. Of course it's got to be Leica if it does video, but I do believe the little fixed focal length non-removable lens ones have it. But anyway, so this is the main lens I've been using. It's the 12 to 50 millimeter, what is it, 3.5 to 6.3, so it's not a quick lens, but it's got quite a few party tricks. This is micro four thirds, so it's got no mirror. For those that know about photography, it looks like an old SLR, but it's instead of having a mirror which goes up to the viewfinder, that's an electronic viewfinder. There's a little cover that goes here, which I have in my case. That's the accessory port that this docks into. To make it weather sealed, the camera itself is weather sealed. This lens is weather sealed, so ideal for bushwalking. It also has this mount, which that's normal sort of mechanical zoom, if you want to call it that. That's an electronic zoom, so if you're doing video you can just twist, and the further you twist the quicker it'll zoom. And then it's got a little button on the side here, macro. You press that and put forward another notch and it goes up to 43mm and to a more of a closer, able to focus for macro. It's not 1:1, but it's pretty darn good, especially for not having to carry a macro lens out with you. But yeah, micro four thirds, so it's got a crop factor of 2x, so where this is a 12 to 50, it's really a 24 to 100. So quite a handy range of focal lengths when you're out and about and can only carry a minimal amount of equipment. Other cool things on this camera: 2 dials, the level of control, and also top dial with the PASM, which is always handy for people which know what they're doing. So I been using M-Lock this trip. Flippy out LCD, which is really handy, especially when I show you the tripod that I've been using. And that's a Arc Swiss compatible plate, which came with the camera capture of a camera clip, capture clip or something like that. I've forgotten exactly what it's called. I think it's by a company called Peak Designs. It's all machined metal, as you can probably see in there. So I've been wearing this. You might notice it on some of my other videos. That goes on my belt part of my pack. So, and it just screws on. That one hinges around there. You got a red button to release the camera. If you don't trust that red button, you can screw this up and it will not even release it with the button. But the button seems pretty good. I have noticed the plate got loose once, so you've also probably noticed I'm using this strap hooked up to an S-beam or higher up on my pack, so I'm not putting strain on my neck. But anyway, on to filters. In this little case, as it's labelled, although that's not actually a filter that came with the case, I'm using a 52mm filter, UV filter. That's just a perfectly clear filter. I'm using that for, well, you can see the effect there. They say it cleans it up a bit, but there's a lot of argument these days whether you need to use UV filters. The reason why I'm mainly using it on this lens is so I don't scratch the front element when I'm walking. Don't use a lens cap whilst I'm walking. I do have a lens cap for it with me, but I have actually scratched a UV filter actually in this particular national park, so I've been leaving that on it whilst walking just in case. Also use the hood, although it's a pretty weak design for a hood, but it is covering 12 to 50mm, and it's actually the same hood that they use for the Olympus 12mm f2 lens. It's the cheap eBay knockoff one. Olympus wants something stupid for some piece of plastic, but it's all you need. It's exactly the same cut as the Olympus one, and yet again, just so I don't knock the front element or the front of the lens, the hood will take the beating rather than the lens. Okay, now onto the funner stuff. This here is a Hoya linear polarizer, not a circular one. The micro four thirds system will focus with a linear polarizer rather than a circular one. Now if I twist this around, I don't know if it'll come up on video. This generally adds contrast and also reduces reflections. So if you look at that plastic bag, notice how it sort of changes colour as I twist this. So that's really handy for making your sky look cool and cutting out reflection off water. So it's got a little bit, that's a ring, but it twists, and so you rotate once it's on there. So that's a linear one. Linear ones give a stronger effect than circular ones. They invented circular ones because the linear ones used to play havoc with digital cameras and still do on some digital cameras. This one here is a Tiffin 52mm clear to neutral density 0.6. So half of that is darkened, doesn't add any colour tone, just literally darkens it a couple of stops. Yeah, I think it's 2 stops. I think that's how the numbers work. There's a couple of different ways that neutral density and such uses their numbering, but that's so I can put that on. I've got Coke and square ones that do the same thing, but they're big and cumbersome to take out with you, so I've got that. You can just screw that on, darken the sky. This one here is a one I've had for a fair while. It's a Hoya 52mm again, neutral density 4, so as you can see, just darkens 4 stops, so yet again longer exposures. Then this is the big one. Wow. This is a, look at that, it's already playing havoc with the camera's exposure. This is a B&W, not BMW, although both made in Germany. BMW, oh, NW, now I'm getting myself confused. Made in Germany, it's quite hefty feeling. F Pro, it's a ND free, it's 10 stops. 10 stop neutral density filter, no colour cast. Went with a quality one, so I won't get the colour cast, but you can see through it if I hold it up. So as you can see, it's pretty much black unless you're holding it up to a light source. So I've been stacking various of these filters. Always pull off the UV filter when using these. Been stacking various ones of these to get darker exposures, better colour water, better colour sky, etc, etc. Now I've been carrying them in this Tiffin filter pouch. Takes up to 58mm filters, just a little padded one. It's got handy little pockets on the side actually, which will even fit the mic kit. And a little belt loop. I actually haven't used a belt loop, but I intended on using it. Then in this little pouch, which is actually a good thing I brought this, because I have been using this equipment, but I've been mainly using it with the prime lenses. I brought with me the, no, not Nikon, not Olympus, but Panasonic Lumix 14mm, so that's a equivalent of a 28mm lens. It's got a 46 to 52mm step up ring on it, so I can use these filters. Tiny front element, a 2.8 aperture, so 2.5, sorry. So it's not the quickest lens, but it's not bad. You don't get as much depth of field with micro four thirds as you do with full frame. My other camera is a Nikon D700, so I'm used to full frame, but you can still do it. If people say small sensor, you can't do depth of field, it's a load of rubbish, and you can even do it with this lens. It's just a matter of knowing how to use it. So the good thing that I brought this one is, as you can see, front element's quite small. I can stack a number of these filters without getting big netting or blackout spots on the edges of the lens. But if I'm using this one at 12mm, I've discovered that these, after adding even 2 filters, it gets in the way of the edges, corners of the frame. So zoomed in a bit, not a problem. So that's all my glass, because essentially these are glass. For the trip, I nearly brought the Olympus 45 1.8 with me. I didn't. I sort of wish I did, but anyway, excuse to come out again. I brought 3 batteries with me, which was a bit of a silly move, because I do have, I think it's 4 or 5 batteries for this kit. Actually meant to bring 4 but I accidentally left one at home. One of these has already gone flat, the one in that's already complaining it's gone down a bar. So yeah, batteries are important. Doing videos, long exposures, chew-free battery as well. Just a little lapel clip, lapel I think that's the right word, and extension cord for the mic if I want to mount it on me to get just my voice rather than all the ambient noise. And this here, I haven't used it this trip, but I was playing around with it the other day. This is a trigger trap. So I plug this end into the camera and the other end into the headphone jack on my phone, and I can use the phone with various program modes to trigger the camera. Set how long I want to take an exposure for, or there's all different modes, but really I've just been using it to say take a picture for like 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes or something like that, longer than what the camera will toggle to. So I've also been carrying it, all the little accessories in this little low pro bag that mounts on the front of my thing. The camera can fit in there with all this if I don't want to mount it on the front of my pack, but as I said, the camera's web sealed, so I'm happy to leave that. I put that little port cover on and just leave it hanging if it was going to rain. This is the tripod I've been carrying with me. It's a Siriu T1205X. Carbon fibre. How many sections is the leg? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 section legs. Came with the head. The legs will hold 10 kilograms off memory, and the head is rated to 18 kilograms. So it's a very sturdy head. Ball head. You've got main lock, tension adjustment or friction adjustment, and a rotation with numbers to, or degrees to rotate with. So all the adjustability you need. The center column does lift. It actually does unscrew, and then you can flip it upside down to take macros close to the ground. So to give you an idea, that's fully extended, comes up to my height here, but with the tilty LCD I can mount it on this, tilt up the LCD, see exactly what I'm doing without having to bend over to awkward positions. It's, as I said, it's extremely light, being carbon fibre. The legs, whoop, we can get one of them to dig in. Legs will flip up 180 degrees if you want to carry it shorter. But I normally just fold it in like that, squash up all the legs, which I will do now and show you how short it is.